All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like for those on Zoom or on the phone to keep their lines muted unless you're speaking. And I'll now call on Steve On, our secretary, to do a roll call.
Okay. Steve On, present. Delegate Jason Bauer. Esther Bowen.
Present.
Charlie Jewell. Senator Travis Hackler. Bill Nuttles.
Present.
Shannon Blevins.
Present.
Adam Hutchinson.
Present.
Hannah Ingram.
Present.
Scott Camp.
Present.
Melissa Lubin.
Present.
Lenny Gale Mitchell. Delegate Will Moorfield. David Olive. Delegate Israel Quinn. Keith Perigin. Senator Todd Pillion.
Present.
Delegate Sam Rasool. Karen Shelton.
Present.
Susan Shorts.
Present.
Paula Song. Donna Stanley.
Present.
Sophie Chafin Vance.
Present.
John Wells. And she's still loving attendance. Any others we did not? We're good. We have a quorum.
Okay, all right. So there's no objection that board members attending electronically are approved. Participate in this meeting, they may object for that. Hearing none, so they will be approved to participate electronically as long as their lines are muted unless they are speaking. We have a minute before us from the December 8th, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Have a motion to approve those minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion, a second to approve those minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Executive Director,
Okay, thank you. Nikki, I'm going to assume I need to stay here since we're zooming for the microphone. Okay. Well, it's good to see everybody. I apologize for my voice. I have some allergy issues and sinus infection, and so this, you know, at my age, that's what happens. And so I'm just glad that we have a quorum and it's good to see you. Well, let me just say first of all that, as always, you know, it's my privilege to stand before people and tell people that the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center is a great place doing great things. And it's all because of great people. And today I get the privilege to stand up here with a couple others and tell you about some of those great things and this great place. But I want to make sure you understand that, and I've said this my entire 8 years here, there's really nothing special about me, but what's special are the people that I get to work with, and they make everything happen. And a lot of them were with us today and around the room. And I think we recognized a whole lot of them at the last meeting. Really the only action item before us today, my presentation today compared to what you heard from me in December with the full slideshow is going to be relatively quick. And I want to go over our financials and get the budget approved for FY24. In your packet, under the blue tab or shaded blue, financial report, if you'll look at that, I'm going to walk you through a couple of things and see if you have any questions. And if not, then we just need to get this budget approved. Obviously, the governor has not signed the FY24 budget yet, so there's a lot of variables that are unknown. You'll see three columns. You're going to see the budget that you approved for FY23. You're going to see our projected end of year numbers, and then you're going to see our proposed for FY24. And our revenue comes basically in three different categories. The first of which is general fund appropriation. And currently our general fund appropriation is 2.5 million and some change. We believe that's going to increase, but again, we don't, the governor's not signed that budget. So therefore, before you for proposed, you see the same number. Last year in September, last year in July, all state employees got a 5% pay raise. That adjustment came to us at a level of $99,543,000, and that came in September. So we know that will continue. But what we don't know is will we get to 5%? Everybody's a state employee gets a 5% pay raise here in a couple of weeks. And so we are anticipating that when the governor signs the budget, that this employee benefit appropriation will increase, and then that 99,543 will become part of the base budget. But again, this is the knowledge that we have today. But that basically sets us forward with a general revenue budget of about $2.6 million. We generate a lot of money here with partner fees, with conference services. And this year, we're going to project that our projected non-general fund revenue is $825,000. You approved 690, so obviously Hannah and her team and the folks working in other areas have done an outstanding job. Revenue is up, and so therefore we are going to exceed our projection by about $135,000 in that area. Now, there's a lot of variables. We're almost back to pre-COVID numbers, but there's some new competition on the horizon with the casino and different things. So historically, you know that I like to, on the revenue side, budget low, and on the expense side, budget high. That way we can come in and exceed expectations and beat the budget, and y'all seem to always like that. So I'm not going to budget, and we're going to do the same thing, even though I trust that Hannah and her team and all this great team I talk about, that they're going to exceed that 825. But anyway, we budgeted 778. So you can see that the total non-general fund revenue, when you talk about our carry forward, we carried forward about $2 million this year. And I believe that we're going to have a surplus, which will carry forward probably about $2.1 million going into FY24. And that's a significant amount of money for a small state agency like us. It might even be unheard of. But we've been very conservative, very efficient, very effective. Years ago, I was trying to save money because I thought we were going to have to pay for the HVAC renovation, but our delegation came through and we got capital funding for that. Then I was saving money so we could do the windows, and we got capital funding for that. So I want you to understand that when we have a capital surplus, we have a surplus of this fund. Yes, it's great to save for a rainy day, but these funds are there to invest in people. And we're embarking on some very exciting projects that we'll be using some of that money to invest in people, primarily to produce a greater workforce and opportunities for our workforce. Then there's some restricted state revenue. That's the third source. And we get some higher education trust fund money, about $80,000. All that's basically used for IT support. And we spent all $80,000, and we're budgeting because we anticipate $80,000 again. Our maintenance reserve fund, we started the year with a 1.2 million. We spent 158,000, and we're going to we hope to get a small transfusion again, but we're anticipating starting FY24 with $1.3 million. Now, that window project that you see out there, when it was approved as a capital project, it was approved at a $700,000 project, but that was at the beginning of COVID. That $700,000 project is now turned into an almost $1.2 million project to replace every window in this building. Well, we're only going to get the $700,000, so that other $400,000 is going to be our money, and we're going to be taking that out of our maintenance reserve. So I just want to say this to you: we are positioned for tomorrow, for the future, with non-general fund carry forward and with our maintenance reserve. So I can tell you that from a fiscal standpoint, the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center is in a very good place. We also get some fees. We do some work. We do some lifting for the Tobacco Commission, and they pay us about $175,000 a year to do that. In exchange for that, we collect about $500,000 from them. They were in the loan business, the scholarship business for a while, and we were their partners for a long time. They're no longer in that business, but there's a lot of loan repayment. So we service all of those accounts. And I think this year the collections were right at $500,000. We also get some money from our foundation. We recently, and we'll talk about this again in a minute, purchased some virtual cadavers. They were about $105,000 for each cadaver table. We were able to get $100,000, half of that money, from the Tobacco Commission. And then through private donors and our foundation, they gave us $45,000, $50,000. And then, of course, they partner with us and they pay half of the salary for our grant writer. So that's where that was coming from. So you can see total revenues, you budgeted for $8 million. Well, you're going to see, well, David, what do you mean we only got $6 million? Well, that's because we didn't draw down a lot of our IT apprenticeship program money. That money's still ours, it's still in an account at UVA. So we kept budgets about the same. After those big numbers, what you're gonna get on the rest of the pages are basically a breakdown of how we get our non-general fund money. And then I do want to point out that we came in under budget on personnel services on the second page. And one of the things that we like to do here is stay ahead of the market, making sure that our folks, our team members are paid well. We did a study for our part-time people and to ensure that we weren't going to lose to competitors. And we were able to do compression adjustments and raises for everyone, and all of our part-time team members received significant increases in their pay. And now we're going to start the same process with our full-time people. Other than personnel services, the area that I really missed the boat, and this is the first time in my 33 years of working with budgets in the Commonwealth of Virginia that I missed something so badly, and that was utilities. The first time we got new HVAC units, they were so much more efficient. But the rate increase that we got from AEP, our electric bill went up to $213,000. That's about $43,000 more than I budgeted. So obviously, I'm going to propose that we increase that to $225,000. One of the most exciting things other than personnel I want to show you is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth line down, that's a treasury financing performance contract. A couple of years before I arrived, the former agency head, Dr. Rachel Folks, and what a great forward thinker she was, entered into a contract. At that point, they didn't have a huge maintenance reserve or a large carry forward, and she needed to borrow about $700,000 to do some improvements in this building, and she did so. And so we've been paying that loan, servicing that loan at $69,942,000 a year. So, in the words of Dave Ramsey, we're debt free. We've made our last payment, so there's $69,000 that can be put to use someplace else. One of the biggest expenses you'll see under supplies and equipment, that next line, is we budgeted $100,000, and you're going to see we spent $289,000. Our grand hall, which produces a lot of revenue for us, is utilized because of the technology in there. And this year we had to replace all 3 of those projectors, and they cost right at $70,000 a piece. And of course we have the cash to do that, so we pay for them. And that's $210,000 for 3 projectors. They were really about 60-something thousand a piece, but by the time you do all the other things, it rounds up to about 70. But we anticipate that the proposed budget for the upcoming year would be about $100,000 again. In summary, basically, if you take out maintenance reserve and higher education center trust fund, and you take out the apprenticeship program, you only talk about what money really comes in and what money really goes out. We bring in about $3.7 million a year. And I try to budget that we're going to spend about $3.7 million a year. I want to make sure that we have a balanced budget here. Even though we do have surpluses, I want to make sure we also operate at the most efficient and effective level. And this budget provides for that again for another year. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about this budget. And if not, then Mr. Chairman, this would be an action item that we would need a motion from the floor to accept this budget as proposed.
Thanks for that report. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Matlock about his proposed budget and financial?
I have a question, Mr. Matlock.
Sure.
We appreciate the efficiency and the effectiveness. I have a question about carry forward. Specifically, does the higher ed center have a carry forward cap? A maximum either by percentage or dollar value?
We do not.
Is there a target that this?
We do not. Okay. Obviously, I will tell you, Dr. Hutchison, we are working on a large proposal to support some of our healthcare programs, and we may need to tap in and use a couple $100,000 of that. That's yet to be seen. But I do know that we are under discussions right now with ODU. We picked up a new partner in Emory Henry College, and but we may be losing one in ODU. They've already pulled out of the Roanoke Higher Education Center and the Southern Higher Education Center. I'm still in negotiations on what their relationship with the Southwest Virginia Higher Education may or may not look like. So obviously, if we lose that, now I budgeted for losing it. Okay. I budgeted that we were going to bring in under residential fees 318. I'm making the assumption that ODU is gone. Now, obviously, we have ODU on the phone, Bill's on the phone, and Angela's here with us. They may have something more to add. I hope that we are able to have some form of relationship. There's a tremendous amount of value added for ODU to stay here. But to answer your question directly, no, sir. Right now, there are no caps placed on this state agency for carry forward funds.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve, second. Second. I have a motion and a second to approve the budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the second part of my presentation, there's no slide for me. There is one short video to show you, but since we last left, we have signed 2 new MOUs with 2 new partners, both of which were covered by the Business Journal, Bristol Health Courier, WCYB TV, Channel 11, one of which was with Emily Henry College. And we're working to with them and the community college to determine what programming might be a good fit for them here. And we also signed a formal MOU with the Appalachian College of Pharmacy. And you heard a presentation from the dean, Susan Mayhew, at the December meeting about their plans and they're moving forward with their relationship with us. So we have 2 new partners here. We continue to have discussions with Radford and UVA-wise about expanding their program, as well as with us today for the very first time, we have Miss Allison Mays, who is the new boots on the ground for Virginia Tech. So Allison, welcome to the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center. And I would say to Susan, in a few short days that she's been here, she has hit the ground running and very enthusiastic. She's been a great team member. You know, culture is important to us here, and she fits our culture well. So I think you've made a great hire, and we look forward to working with Allison in the future. And I also know that Shannon is here, and UVA-wise, they were in the process of hiring a new search, probably not the right word, but point person on the ground here. They're still underway of doing that. We hope to have a new UVA-wise person in the very near future. One of the new things that we briefly touched about at the December meeting, it was also included in the MOU, is we're going to be a site for one of the governor's new lab schools. So we received, working with VHCC, Adam Hutchinson and his team, Dr. Hutchinson and his team, with Phil Community College, with Phil Public School System, Smith County Public School System, Washington County School System, and the City of Bristol School System, and the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center. We will be accepting students, residential students here at the center, and it will be an allied health focused lab school. Part of the students will be attending class here, part will be attending class at the Emory Henry campus in Marion, obviously with physical therapy, PA. We have the College of Pharmacy here. We have the nurse anesthesia program, nurse practitioner. Many of our partners have RN programs. VHCC has an RN program, medical technology, radiology, paramedic program. So it's going to be a gateway. And that's very exciting for our area, because not only is it great for our students, it puts more people in the funnel for our partner schools. And so that you'll hear more about that. I didn't make reference to the cadaver lab, and hopefully I didn't plan for a tour for you today, but it's exciting. It has brought a lot of life to that side of the campus.
I'm sorry.
It is in my business, Senator. The last thing I'll say to you before I pass things on to Adam Thomas is we're working to produce an annual report. That's something that a real formal annual report is something that was never done here. And Joy Rumley, who Adam's going to introduce in just a second, our new grant writer, is taking some leadership on that. And so before we leave today, I know some of you get to stay for the reception. It's going to be up on the landing deck above the information desk. And we invite you all to stay for that. But before everyone leaves, for those who can, we'd like to have a group picture of the board members today for that. Unless you have any questions for me, I just want to say it is a great honor to be the agency head for this organization, and things are going well. So, any questions?
Thanks for all you do.
Okay.
Any questions for Dave?
Oh, I do have a 30-second video. Nick, you want to show that? Sorry.
With an accelerated 3-year Doctor of Pharmacy program, Appalachian College of Pharmacy makes pharmacy school accessible to aspiring pharmacists in our region. Now, ACP is even closer to home for students in the Tri-Cities. Appalachian College of Pharmacy has a brand new distance campus located at the Southwest Virginia Higher Ed Center in Abingdon. The distance campus is open to second-year ACP students who want to stay close to home in the Tri-Cities. Learn more at acp.edu.
I'm waiting for her to say on the campus of.
Yeah, I will make sure, Dr. Hutchinson, that is.
Can we get that edited?
We'll get that to make sure that they understand that it is at Southwest Virginia Higher Station, located on the beautiful campus of Virginia Highlands Community College. That is a great addition,
It's a terrific addition
and there's more to come. I just want to say.
One of many coming, so.
Many coming,
It's
yes.
exciting, and it's gonna totally change Southwest Virginia to have that here.
We look forward to working with him and and I just want to say to all the college and universities represented here, your boots on the ground here, they do a great job and they're great to work with.
Dr. Hudson and I were talking earlier about what it means to have, for him to have a partner at the bottom of the hill that is just adding to our workforce and our educational opportunities for Southwest Virginia. And so thank you both for all you do for, and everyone at the table for all you do for the workforce in Southwest Virginia. So next up, I think we have Adam Tolbert to give us an update. HR and admin.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, members of the board and guests, and good to see everyone here. And I want to talk about a lot of what I handle in the administrative areas, the great people aspects of the organization here at the center. And we're going to recognize, we started doing this a couple of years ago, our full-time employees who had some service anniversaries in their service to the Commonwealth and the center. And we have, I think, a couple of them here, and let me get the awards right quick here. Let me help you. Sure, if you want to hold on to those. So our first honoree would be Kathleen Nash, better known as Kitty Nash. She has 15 years of state service. Might catch up with Kitty, I think. So
She's working. I can't get her to stop. See, when you come in, you see the place is so clean and looks so good. That's Kitty and her team. Yes.
exactly, that she does a great job. And then, of course, we do have Charlene Raleigh, better known as Nikki Raleigh, got 10 years of service. And so we have her over there. Elizabeth Tate, who handles IT related things as part of our tobacco program administration. Come on up, Commissioner. And finally, on our service awards list, David Eli Heidelow, 5 years, and one catch of him.
Is he working?
Yes.
That's awesome there.
But we appreciate all these folks' services. In fact, in some cases, some of these folks started off part-time or wage employees here and we're in full-time positions. They actually have more service than what we recorded under the policy for awards and recognition. So appreciate all they do. It takes great folks to help us run the operation here. Those are some great folks that help us. Next, you also have your packet. I'd like to produce a personnel activity report of any changes of hires and departures since our last meeting. And one person I want to focus on, a new hire, is Joy Rumbley, who joined us in January, on January 25th, our new full-time grant writer. And as David alluded to earlier, Joy's helping us so much more. She's working on the annual report for us, the concept that we're working on. And she actually reports up through my area. So I'm glad to have her as part of my team here at the center. And Joy, take a few moments to introduce yourself. You can come up here if you'd like. Chair, get back to us.
I'm Joy Rumley. I have just about 20 years of experience with the Commonwealth of Virginia. Started out with the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, reading hundreds and hundreds of grant applications through that agency. I also have some experience through regional economic development at the River Valley Regional Commission for a little bit of time where I did actual grant writing. And then now coming here, my home is here in Abingdon. I'm glad to be serving Southwest Virginia in this capacity. I'm really excited to be working here.
Thank you, Joy, and welcome aboard. Obviously, you know what a great place it is with great people and. We're glad that you're part of that.
And you'll see on the list there, we had a few other wage hires to support operations here and one departure as well. And unless there's any questions or concerns about anything that might be under purview of my area, might be able to help with, that's what I have to report on this afternoon.
Any questions for Adam? Hearing none, thanks. Adam.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Anna, next for Conference Services Department update.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hannah Heidela, Director of Meetings and Events here at the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center. I'm here today to highlight our conference services. 2023 has been a busy year for our team. From January 1 to May 31, we have served 137 organizations, including 43 new clients. We've received 360 reservations, consisting of 1,300 individual bookings, and we have welcomed approximately 25,000 event attendees to our facility. I'm pleased to share that our projected revenue for fiscal year 23 is $259,000, a number that we have not seen since before the pandemic. 2019 was our best year in terms of event space rentals, so I'm proud to report that we are on target to meet those same numbers once again.
I'd like to point out for Hannah, if you'll go back, I just so as that 137 serves and attendees, that's just since January. You can double that for the year for the FY23.
Yes, January 1 to May 30.
Actually, you can probably double it plus about 15% because the fall is a much busier business season for us than the spring.
And are you seeing a return of same people that you saw before COVID?
Definitely.
New people?
We've had honestly both. We've seen a lot of return of all of our annual events and people that we're used to seeing here, familiar faces, but we've also gotten a lot of new clients as well, especially in terms of private events like wedding receptions, birthday parties, things like that. And smaller events too, such as mediations and things like that. So everything from our small conference rooms to our big grand hall space, we're seeing a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces this year. So it's really feeling fun and we're like that normal that we were seeing before the pandemic.
Are you having to turn people away?
Yes, not really. I wouldn't say turn people away. If they're available to look at other dates and consider other options, we try and accommodate that. But sometimes our weekends for this year really have filled up. I have maybe 1 or 2 weekends left for this year before our Christmas break. So weekend events like weddings and things like that sometimes aren't always negotiable. But we certainly have filled up fast, and when there is flexibility, we try and make it work the best we can. But we stay, it's been a busy year, that's what I can say. And it looks like we're going to continue that way in the fall. So annual events, of course, do play a big part in these numbers. This fiscal year, we have welcomed some exciting new events, such as the Rob Con Comic Book Convention, the Monroe Mandolin Camp, and the Boys and Girls Club biannual craft fair. These are all multi-day events that have brought both new and familiar faces to the center, and I'm pleased to say that all are already booked with us again for next year. In addition to the new events, the Mid-Atlantic Garden Fair was back with a full-scale show in April for the first time since the pandemic. We Cycle, the Virginia Highlands Festival, and Mistletoe Market are also operating in full swing, bringing in hundreds of visitors to the center over multiple days. The Appalachian Long Distance Hikers Association will join us for their 3rd visit to Abingdon in October. They've been so pleased with their service here that their board is actually considering hosting all of their annual gatherings at the center going forward. We feel very fortunate to have these large annual events here at the center, and we certainly look forward to our continued partnerships with each of them. So for me, what's even more important than the numbers is what our customers are saying about us. One of my favorite parts of my work week is reviewing our customer satisfaction survey responses. I can honestly tell you that we've never received a negative review, and I know that's because of the incredible team of people that we have working here. Everything was perfect as usual. From start to finish, every step was taken to ensure my event needs were not only met, but exceeded. Staff was top-notch. Your staff in the facility are amazing. We are so grateful for the excellent service we receive. Excellent service, prompt assistance, staff more than willing to help. Best staff ever. These are just a few excerpts from our responses that we've received so far this year, and they are the truest testament to our service here at the center. These are the reasons I have the privilege of reporting such positive numbers on behalf of our team today. I know that you've heard David say it prior to, but I am going to reiterate, we are a great place doing great things because of great people. I get to see it every day, and as you can tell from our customers' feedback, our clients see it too. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today on behalf of our great place, for our great people. Thank you so much for your time.
Any questions for Hannah? Thank you, Hannah. I feel like you're the public face to the higher ed center. You know, if you're not attending a class here, then you're dealing with Hannah or attending an event, and we really appreciate what you do. You're running a top notch.
Well, thank you so much. We owe it all to our team. We have an amazing team here, so I'm glad to stand up on their behalf.
Sonia? Education Department update.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Sonia Vanhook, and I work with Alan Blevins and Helen Peck in the Education Department. If you would look in your folder under the Education tab, you'll see the report for this year from from January to June. I taught 1,080 students. They were represented by city schools, county schools, private schools, other organizations such as the Washington County Public Library. We had ages kindergarten through adult, and that gives us a total fiscal year ending at the end of this month, 3,324 students. How to get these numbers? These school visits, where we go out to the school visits. The field trips are where students are brought to us by bus. And then we have special programs such as the K-5 STEM Academy that you see highlighted on the screen. We do STEM lessons, science, technology, engineering, and math with a focus on technology. And I brought some of the teaching tools today, and I hope you'll have a chance to look over at some of those after our meeting. This is Code and Go. This is the first lesson that we teach pre-readers. Again, we're teaching pre-readers how to code a robot. They're using this little robot mouse and they're pushing the buttons on its back to tell it to go forward, take left. And this is establishing that base that we will then build on. Then we teach the Coding Express. Coding Express is a train and they build the track. How they like to do it. I built a little circle right here for you. They build the track and put actual coding blocks into the track. This is where they're introduced to that term coding blocks that they will hear later on. I took this picture. This is at Washington Lee. This is at Washington Lee Elementary School. Those are fifth graders there. And you might think, oh, well, that's, baby technology or something. Do you think these fifth graders are having a good time? Gibetto is the next one that I go to. This is actually a robot made out of wood. It's a little cube. And this is where they get to use a control panel. They're stepping away from the robot now and actually doing a control panel. Then we go to the Finch robot. Finch robot is one of our newer ones. It has a little opening in it and you'll see. Oh, there. Oh, thank you.
This guy, right?
What's her name on?
Right, this guy.
Yeah, that guy right there. Thank you.
Vanna.
Thank you, Van. Thank you, Van. All right, so that's our Finch robot. You can open up that little lid and put an ink pen in there, a special marker that it comes with. And the picture you see, they're using their robots to draw circles and squares and programming those robots to do that. In this picture, they have moved from block programming up to text programming. These are fifth graders using Python. The next one, this is our EV3 robots. And I took this picture of these students highlighting where they took supplies, delivered it to a habitat on Mars. Last year, our theme was space. And if you look at that little red, rusty red map that they're working on, that's an actual picture of Mars. That first Lego League took and imposed it onto that mat, so they're learning about how bumpy the actual surface of it would look like. I was focused on these students in the front when I took this picture, but look at the little boy in the background. He's going, why won't this robot do what I have programmed it to do? And that is what programming a robot is really all about. The next one is SPHERO. This is a little round robot. There we go, kind of like a baseball.
Star Wars. Rose.
When I introduced them to that, there's not one of them that doesn't say BB-8. They've seen the Star Wars and they understand that that's one of those little round ones that they do. In this picture, I'm in a gym and we've set up bowling lanes and there's bowling pins there at the end and they're using that to program that little ball to go down there and knock down those bowling pins. This was at a parent night at an elementary school and those parents got so excited when they figured out their child is programming that ball. They think they're just throwing the ball down there, knocking down pins. They're using a robot to actually do that. The parents were very excited. This, I think, is the only picture I didn't take myself. This is at the Washington County Fairgrounds. We had a drone group. They bring thousands of students through there and we're looking at career exploration. We're talking about how you can program a drone and program computers, and that provides a very good career. My favorite quote from this day, I've heard a student say this as he walked away. He says, I just programmed a daggum robot. The next one is a puffer fish. This is one of our new robots. I built this robot, went up to ETSU and it's going, this is in the pool at ETSU. I'd like to happily announce it did not fall apart when we put it in the water. And it has a little control panel and then we can make it dive and come up. And that's our puffer fish robot. Not only do we use hands-on robots, but we also use laptops. This is Scratch programming. These students, you can see they're posing for me to take a picture. Look at the student in the back. He's genuinely having a good time. He's looking at the laptop of his friend there and they're learning. They think they're just having a good time playing games. These students are learning about programming and actually this can change their futures. The next one is Swift programming. That's one of our newer things. The difference between the Swift and the Scratch is that this one uses iPads. So we give them the iPads and I'm excited about incorporating this lesson into our summer campus coming up. Did you know that the Girl Scouts have a robotic badge? On May the 20th, we had about 18 Girl Scouts brought in here. We worked on that robotics badge. They built these robots. We gave them a bucket of Legos and said, you have to use what's in this tub and build a robot. And you'll see the different variety that they took. Most of them have some kind of the same size wheels. Some of them were really small, but it was pretty interesting to see what they did. They worked in groups of 3 to build these robots. Not only do we do technology lessons, but we do engineering lessons. These are the Kiva planks, and we have some Kiva planks over here that we use to teach them engineering lessons. This student, look how sweet he is. I mean, how can I not use that picture? They're taught to build a ramp, to build a tunnel, and they take that little red plastic ball and send them through the obstacle course that they build. Then we have bridge building lessons that we also teach. I try to teach them, don't build it real tall and skinny, it won't stand up. Well, she proved me wrong because there's a train on top of her bridge. And then we did some Lego block building exercises at the Washington County Public Library. You see we have the instructions there. We're teaching them to follow step-by-step instructions and to build these things out of Legos. Coming up, we have our summer STEM camp. This is July 10th through the 14th through Rising 4th through 8th graders. In your packet, you'll have one of these flyers, one of these brown focused flyers. I hope that you know someone who can be involved in that and can join us and get taught some of these wonderful programs that we have. Not only do we have programs for students, we have programs for teachers. We like to promote professional development for teachers. This is in association with our Code VA partnership, and these are online. In the past, before COVID, they came in here and had 1 week. I taught 1 week teachers in person, but since COVID, everything has been online. And we'll probably will return to in-person training at some point, but not yet this summer. They have not announced that. So everything is online. They can sit at home or sit on vacation in front of the laptop and get the training that they need. This is my contact information. If you do not find your school on that list or anybody that from your county, you cannot find your county on there, then please contact me and let's set up a school visit or a field trip, and we will teach those students and teach those teachers. As much as I would love to go and teach every single student in Southwest Virginia, that's just not possible for me and my team. I want to teach the teachers who can then take these lessons into their classrooms. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions? I would like to add for Sonia, because he doesn't always do a good job of bragging on what they do. Over the last 6 years, we have an abundance of drones, an abundance of the EV3s, the SPHEROs, and they come in kits. And so she does train the teacher. We check these out. Your school, if you have high school, middle school, elementary school kids, your teachers can come and check this equipment out. We check it out with them. They take it and keep it at their school for a week or 2 weeks. Sonia's going to almost every summer school in the region. Well, everyone that's invited her, she's going. But we teach teachers. We probably have trained close to 25 teachers. And then on a regular basis, they come and borrow our drones. And we have some great dark side of the moon exercises created for these things. So I just tell you that because many of you are parents and grandparents, and we want to extend this technology to service to your schools. Any questions?
And Sonia, I'd just like to say, you've always welcomed Delegate Quinn and myself to your graduation ceremonies, and it undoubtedly the kids are always so excited, not to see us, of course, but to get back to the classroom where they're doing all their activities. But you do such a great job, and I'm sure Israel would agree with me. We're so thankful to have you here.
We are honored that you come to our graduation and give them their certificates.
Thank you.
Those pictures are online, by the way. If anybody wants to see those pictures of our grad, the last one we just had, you can go to our Facebook page and see our board members passing in these wonderful things.
And the parents are always very, very pleased too. So that's always nice to see. I think next is the last school update.
Yeah, they're in Richmond and she couldn't be here, so I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. So, and Dr. Hutchinson knows as much about this as I do. So between Whitfield Community College and Southwest Virginia Community College, those 4 school systems I mentioned in the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center and our partners. The lab school concept is simply this. Beginning next year, sophomores in those high schools will be given an opportunity to go to their school a half a day, starting at Christmas, because of training and schedule building. The semester, our school will start in January. So starting in January, we'll admit 80 sophomores between those 14 high schools, between City of Bristol and Whitfield High School. And they'll pick a location, and working with the community colleges and other faculty members. Those sophomores will then, when they become juniors, will pick up 80 more sophomores. And when they become seniors, and those 80 will become juniors. So at full capacity, the grant was written for 240 students. So that could be anywhere from maybe 6 or 7 students from Abington, 1 or 2 from Holston, 3 or 4 from Virginia High School. It could look a lot of different ways, but the focus is, and I know Steve, you're a K-12 educator over at Holston, is to introduce students into the pathways of allied health and prepare them for a quicker exit and a more prepared exit for all the fields that are represented here, from pharmacy to anesthesia, to PA, to physical therapy, to RN, to radiology, to clinical lab science. And hopefully along the way, they may get interested in being a dentist or MD or something else. But that's where we're at, and you'll hear more about that at the December meeting, because we'll be ready to launch and go live at that point.
So when do you expect it first class to enroll next?
Yeah, we will have students in January. They interviewed for an executive director last week and thought they had one hired. He took a position at another. He was a retired superintendent. He hadn't retired yet. He was a superintendent at another school system up the road, not in this county, up the road. And he took another job at another county up the road, north of Roanoke. And he didn't accept the position. So once we get an executive director, there'll be more, things will move quicker, but there's two committees working right now. There's a curriculum committee and an admissions committee. And they meet weekly and they've been working on the curriculum, working primarily with the superintendents.
Any questions today?
So that could be the following school year then,
So in January of 24, a semester from now. So like,
that would be application.
they'll be working on applications when school starts in the fall. Yeah, and Steve, we could have started in the fall, but we didn't get our money to start this until March. And you know, as a high school teacher, that they were already making schedules and registering students for their fall classes in March. And so that just wasn't going to work, so we had to wait till the spring.
Any questions? Thanks, Dan. An opportunity was provided for public comment, or for the public to submit written comments for the meeting. We received about 5 p.m. today. Adam, any public comments? Okay. Any other business before? Anyone, any comments? Well, hearing none. The only thing I would like to add is, and I think David's already mentioned about Rachel Polk's leadership. And it's important to note that we lost her on April 1st, and she was the first the founding executive director, and she was obviously a visionary leader for Southwest Virginia. She was on the BOV of Bradford and was a tremendous member for them as well, and as well as various boards throughout Southwest Virginia and the entire Commonwealth. And her fierce advocacy and leadership is going to be something that is never going to be replaced, and we should all try to emulate in our own lives. But it is to be remarked that she would be greatly missed, not only here at the center, but also in all of Southwest Virginia, the Commonwealth. So with that, I don't have anything else.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to remind everybody, we do have a reception with some really good food. Who's our caterer today? Ladybug Cafe, and we have some very beachy decoration. Get in the mood. But if, as quickly as possible, maybe we can meet outside in the hallway for a brief photograph.
Okay. And I would like to remind everybody that the next proposed meeting date is Thursday, December 14th. Go ahead and put that in your calendar. Hopefully we'll keep it at that date. And like Dave said, we definitely want to invite you all up to the second floor. Hopefully the food is ready and waiting on us, but we do need to take a picture first. So at that, I will take a motion to adjourn the middle of this meeting. I have a motion to second.
Second.
I have a motion to second to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
I'd just like to remind everybody, we do have a reception with some really good food. Who's our caterer today?